All right, welcome back, guys. Howdy, bonjour. How's everyone doing? This is episode 3, chapter 3 of Captivate, the book that I'm seriously enjoying right now. If you don't, it's not sponsored at all because I'm just really curious about this book and I wanted to share my learnings. So, chapter 3 is how to have dazzling conversations with people. Sparks, creating dopamine, creating interest in the talks that we have on a daily basis. So, small talk. I would say a lot of people dislike small talk. Yes, I couldn't agree more. I, for one, actually do enjoy small talk because it leads to big talk, but it depends on how you approach it. But most people want to get into big talk or want to basically move away from the plain Jane status quo of small talk. So this chapter talks about that, talks about the sparks, and I want to share some of the learnings that I've had from today after reading this chapter. And the best way for me to learn and to absorb it all is to share it with you guys and girls straight away. So small talk is the status quo. It's like that comfy couch. It's just being comfortable. It's just the play it safe moments. And how's the weather? How are you? What are you up to? What do you do? Those boring questions that we ask people all the time, right? Now, this particular chapter talks about a new concept called big talk. Vanessa goes into it. It's like a roller coaster ride where you build anticipation and you have moments where it sparks you up. It's like an adrenaline rush. It is exhilarating. And that's what we kind of do want on sort of most of our interaction, whether it's with our barista or with our neighbor or even with our family member that we know inside out. You do want to have exhilarating conversations because they are memorable. And memorable conversations create dopamine. And dopamine is our pleasure senses going, wow, that was great. I had such a great time catching up with so-and-so, even though it was short and sweet or long and in-depth, right? So she talks. Big talks has tons and tons of sparks. Lots of little bursts of pleasure that we remember. Yes. And our brain loves that sort of stuff. Our brain loves those sort of novel, oddball conversations where it's like, wow, that was amazing. So we talk about what it does when you produce dopamine during a conversation. You not only give your partner or your client or customer more enjoyment, you are also assigned more significance. Significance, that's very important, which increases your memorability. So people will remember you more. People will associate you with fun and enjoyment. Yes. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to create spark and dopamine. So how do we do that? First things first, novelty in the questions that we ask really do matter. So new ideas, new topics, encouraging something new to come out, explore new environments. That's what we need to do. And we need to experiment. We need to get out of our social norm. So what is our social norm? What is the normal status quo that we have? The normal thing that we hear people say all the time is, how are you? How's your day? What are you up to? Yep, that's it. What are you having? Boring. We need to start asking questions more along the lines of, for example, let me make sure I don't ruin it, is, for example, how's your day? Instead, you'll be asking, what is the highlight of your day? When you go specific like that, it allows the person that you're asking to really think about, oh, yeah, I've had a lot happen this morning. What has been the highlight? Oh, yeah, yes. And if you're at work, when you're asking, how's work? Instead of asking, how's work? What personal passion projects are you working on right now for work? Because people are working on different assignments, people are doing different projects for their company. Who knows? But it basically opens up more conversation for us. So I and she is also encouraging, if you abandon social scripts and push ourselves to use conversational sparks, we are more likely to enjoy our interactions and remember what was actually said during the conversation. Yes, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create those moments where it's more memorable for everyone. So, for some examples that she gives, which I think are phenomenal, is instead of asking how's work, like I just mentioned before, working on any exciting projects recently, instead of asking how are you, ask what's the highlight of your day? Instead of asking what you do, ask working on any passion. Oh, I said that already. Instead of how's the family, ask have you guys got any vacations or trips coming up? Usually people do have something lined up for either a short trip with an Airbnb somewhere, or what they're up to on the weekend, or maybe a big family trip in the coming months, and that leads to having a deeper story, right? Instead of where you're from, ask what's your story. Instead of how's it going, ask what are you up to this weekend. Especially if you're close to, like if it's a Thursday or Friday, it's a great question to ask because people usually have things lined up, right? Whether it's kids' sports activities or going to the zoo or going to their favorite restaurants, yeah. And the other question is, instead of asking, been busy, had a busy day, ask, what do you do to unwind? Another question I love to ask people is, what's the top 5 bands on your Spotify or Apple Music playlist? People love music. Everyone loves music. And I'm always curious about what people like to listen to because that is just a great way to get to know who they are. Okay? So those are great little tips. The second part of creating sparks in conversation is to push hot buttons. So pushing hot buttons is interest or hobbies that people are keen on. So when you are talking or bring up a particular hot topic, you'll notice when someone is interested in that hot topic, when they go, tell me more, they lean in. So if you're talking about holidays and you're talking about, let's say, for example, your recent Vietnam trip, and they lean in more to it, they're interested in that topic. And that's something that you can ask them in return. So searching for hot topics. So for example, if you mention, oh, you're really into red wine, and they're like, oh yes, I am very interested in red wine. Oh, they say, what sort of red wines are you interested in? And then they'll be like, Shiraz, from which region? Oh, from the Barossa Valley, for example. And then you can go on and talk more about that particular region. The key thing here is you've got to be interested in that person and what they have to share. The key thing is the intent of being interested. You must be interested. You must go in with the intention and the energy to want to learn from that person. Another thing is, we all have different names and background. If you come across a name that you've never heard before, oh, that's a beautiful name. Oh, is that within your family? Tell me more about this name. You can go, that can lead to a much deeper conversation about their background. So hot topics is where you can go much deeper into a conversation. Being interested, very, very key here. Being interested rather than being interesting is the key thing I want you all to take away. Okay, and that's for me too, 100%. I fall into victim of sometimes being more interesting than being interested. And why is this important? Because it's novelty for the brain. It's not something that people get asked that often. So zero in on that. And the more novel, the better. Like the more oddball the question. And one of my go-to questions is asking people about what they like in terms of food. Because I think food connects people a lot. So in an Uber drive, for example, and if I meet someone that is from a Nigerian background, for example, I'm like, oh, wow, you're from Nigeria. How amazing. What brings you to Australia? And they'll say, well, this is so-and-so. I'm here for my studies. Oh, so what are you studying right now? What makes you interested in that particular field? Or they might go, oh, I'm just here to work as an Uber and send money back home. Wow, you're sending money back home. What's driving you? Why are you doing this? And then they'll go into, maybe it's to feed their family back in their village. Oh wow, your village. So what are the three things you're missing most about home? Is there a particular food that we don't have here that you're missing there? So if you're interested in that person, you want to know more. And just being like a curious child, you're going to ask questions, wanting to know more. And the word that I generally like to use is what? What? Tell me more. And these things lead to your partner or the person that you are with going into a deep dive about that conversation. So those are my sort of key takeaways. Okay, so novelty, oddball, spark, and being interested is key. The other thing is that when you're different and when you spark these sort of moments, it wakes people up because they're like, oh, I've never been asked that question before. That's quite unusual. So that is your opportunity to work on this skill set. I think conversation and having conversation with people is reps. But I believe everything in life is to do with a lot of reps. If you want to have great short burst conversations, it doesn't have to be plain Jane small talk. It can be big talks. It can lead to something that you can learn from someone. And I think the one thing that, if you guys can take away anything from this, is people all have something to teach us. They really do. So unique, okay? Being unique with your question, being odd, why not? Never hurts. The riskier you are with some of your question choices, the more reward you're going to get from that person, because they're like, oh really, that's an interesting question that you're asking me. The other thing to take away from this as well is remembering people's names. That's it. Remembering people's names. I have a bad habit of it. I've been working on a system to remember people's name. Vanessa's recommendation on meeting people's name is when you meet and greet them, repeat it back to them as well. So it's like, hi, my name is David. Hi, my name is John. Hi, John. Lovely to meet you, John. Yes, you've repeated it twice already. He said it once, you said it twice, and that's a really great way. The other way is also to link that particular name to maybe someone that is of significance in your family or someone that you love. I met a guy at the gym the other day. We were sharing benches, and his name is Dylan. So the first thing I said, hi, my name is Dave. Handshake, nice firm handshake. He said, my name is Dylan. He's 22. And then I'm like, in my head, I said Bob Dylan immediately. Bob Dylan linked with him. I remembered his name straight away. People love the name, their name being said. Not too much though, but enough so that they say, oh, you remember. Yeah. So that's it. That's my take on it. Small talk. Instead, we're talking big talk. Being odd, not being like super odd, but odd enough with our conversation that it's open-ended questions for people. Yes. So key takeaway from this book, love it. Spark some dazzling conversations in your interaction this weekend with friends and clients and loved ones. Creating spark is on us. If we want to get better at having great conversation, it starts with us asking great questions, asking odd questions, adding novelty and differences in our interactions. Whether it's a friend that's been your best friend forever, of course, I think those are more free-flowing, but even with our family member, people that we really catch up with, clients, we can always add spark into that conversation. So I love that. Remembering people's name. So check out the tips that I just mentioned before. Push hot buttons. So listen for clues, listen for body language when people say, tell me more, lean in. They're interested. So hot topics, push it. Get out of the autopilot of the usual conversation. Try not to get back into that comfort zone. All right. So that is for us to work on. We've got to work on these things. Stop passively listening. You've got to stop passive listening. You've got to be active listening for those key moments. Be interested. We got to be interested in the people that we are talking to. Genuinely interested. If we're genuinely interested and believe they've got something to teach us, we will get a lot out of that conversation. And just bring up novel topics. Yeah, try it. Risk it. Risk it for the biscuit. All right? So that's my takeaway. I'm really enjoying talking about this particular book. Yes. I hope it's helped someone out there, whether it's a small takeaway or a lot. Wonderful. I'll be sharing more. It's my wife and my son's birthday this weekend, so I won't continue until next week. But I really enjoy putting in the reps and talking to the camera and learning about this particular topic that I am super curious about. There is no better way to be a better communicator than practicing communication, and that requires us to go out there and to talk to people. Yes, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert or an ambivert, there is environments where we do thrive. So appreciate your time, appreciate your attention. Until next week, we'll talk more about this book. We're up to chapter 4 next week. So thank you guys and girls. Peace out. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.